Hey everybody, I'm Jason.
I'm Maggie.
That's Maggie. They're dying because we watched Man of Steel. I guess, alright, they're getting up. This is a good start. It's unexpected. I gave you, whatever. So, this is a show called Fifth Time's the Charm, where we watch a movie that we've either seen before or haven't seen. Don't get too caught up with the name, it's just kind of catchy, I thought. We could just watch anything. You could even suggest stuff for us to watch. We're probably going to watch stuff that just came out, including maybe Zack Snyder's Justice League, depending on things and stuff. It might turn into a commentary track. But with that idea in mind, I decided that a good way to start this brand new podcast/show would be to watch Zack Snyder's Man of Steel.
Jesus Christ, save me.
Okay. So I think off the top, we should try and avoid being like, oh, this is good, this is bad. I'm just going to ask Maggie, did you like this movie?
It was so boring.
It's just a yes or no question.
No!
Okay. I did like it. I like it a lot less this time. The last time I saw this was actually in like 11th grade maybe? Because it was before... What I noticed while watching this is I had new vocabulary and wording that I did not have before that I could now apply to this. And my stance has changed, but we'll get to that. Because first, we're going to do a segment called Names and Numbers.
Okay.
So Man of Steel came out June 2013, and it was competing with movies like Monsters University, World War Z, and The Purge. So, you know, stiff competition.
Oh god, World War Z, I barely remember that movie.
I remember the Pepsi ad, and I remember being kind of bored. Because it kept going, and it seemed like it wasn't supposed to. And then Monsters University is fine, and I don't want to talk about The Purge. This movie is, well, at least according to IMDb, I think HBO Max says something different. 2 hours and 23 minutes?
It says 2 hours and 22 minutes.
Alright, so 2 hours and give or take a few minutes. With a budget of $258 million, that was Wikipedia's, highball.
Yeah.
Does it feel like that much money?
I have no concept of money when it comes to movies.
You don't think all those digital zooms and explosions felt like $258 million? Flushing away?
Flushing away, yes.
Well, trust. We'll get to it. But it did turn a profit of $668 million.
Of course,
so that's why we.
People are stupid.
Yeah, and that's why we have the lovely sequel to Man of Steel that we will get to soon. Maggie suffered this week. I will suffer next week.
What's next week?
What's the sequel to Man of Steel, Maggie?
We're both gonna suffer.
That's true. But something I noticed, we're still in numbers and names, by the way, but I want to talk about it anyway. Something I noticed is you got caught up on certain things that I just don't care about for reasons that we'll get to. And it made me start feeling bad for you.
There's, very particular things that we're gonna talk about that, I very much dislike and I get caught up on when I'm watching a movie.
Which is fair, but I kind of forgave them because, I don't know, it's fucking Superman. This is a 1930s character that has somehow persisted through the horrors of time. Alright, but that's all our numbers, but our names. Our main writer was David S. Goyer. Christopher Nolan has a minor credit.
Please tell me it's a white man.
David S. Goyer is some white guy.
Okay. I got white man vibes from, how certain characters were written, and I just needed that confirmed.
But Maggie, do you want to know how white this guy is?
Please tell me.
Our friend David S. Goyer is the main writer on the Call of Duty Black Ops games.
Oh, Lord.
Terminator 6. And this was the one I found that made me lose my mind. You saw me as I was looking on IMDb. David S. Goyer wrote the 1990 whenever David Hasselhoff Nick Fury movie.
What the fuck?
Because remember, Nick Fury used to be a white guy before he became cooler in the Ultimate Comics. And he was played by fucking David Hasselhoff. White Nick Fury did two things. He was David Hasselhoff, and he started the fucking Marvel Civil War in the comics. That guy's an asshole, and he got replaced. So, we got a good writer on hand. And I don't know what Christopher Nolan did, because all of this dialogue and the pacing is awful. And then, of course, our director, the lovely jock in a little nerd's body, Zack Snyder, who wears nice little suits and little cool t-shirts, and he looks like he does CrossFit, and he's just the biggest edgy nerd ever.
It's so weird, because we were talking earlier about, how Zack Snyder is, very give-or-take director.
I find that, at least for me personally, his films feel very 50-50. Either I like it or I don't like it. And there's almost a pattern.
I feel the same way, but, it leans more towards dislike for me. There's just certain things with, one, the types of movies he picks to direct, and, how he directs them is just very irritating and sometimes very... I'm hiccuping. Very boring.
Yeah. Well, I say 50-50 because it literally is 50-50. I have no lean towards like them or don't like them. But that is it for names and numbers. But now we get to a segment that I'm excited for that Maggie's already ruined by not doing the work properly. But it's fine.
Do you want me to take notes of how I feel throughout the movie, or do you want me to give you a shitty plot synopsis?
A shitty plot synopsis implies that you haven't pre-written it, as you are shuffling papers like a fucking news anchor in front of me right now. This segment's called Maggie's Sloppy Synopsis, where they were supposed to just, after we watch the movie, and we jump right into this, we just finished the movie, they just blurt out what they think the movie is in a broad spectrum. Like when you look up a trailer or whatever, the rough plot, no major details. Maggie is bad at that because they are very detail-oriented, which is important, but not for a synopsis.
I also have ADHD, so I go into 10 tangents on the plot of it.
One of the weeks I'm just going to switch this around, so I'll do the synopsis and you get to do this other shit, including be the more or less announcer.
Yeah.
So Maggie, give us your synopsis.
So we got the classic shit of every Superman story of planet goes boom. They added on a fucking coup happening in the background.
This is already not a synopsis. This is what the segment's supposed to be, though. Keep going.
And they send off, or his parents send off Superman to fucking Earth, so he has a safe place to live because he's not a normally born person in his fucking society, and he has some secret information or fucking what's it called? What's
the
the
Codex,
thing?
the monkey skull.
No, I'm thinking of the word.
MacGuffin?
MacGuffin.
Okay.
Fucking implanted into his body.
What's your favorite MacGuffin in a movie? Mine is still the Cradle and Vision in Age of Ultron specifically because it comes out of nowhere more or less.
So yeah, we got a fucking Disney Hercules adoption shit going on when he lands in Kansas, and we get a fun time skip, which I completely missed when we were watching. I was writing something down and I looked up and I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now?
I need to ask you a quick question. Does the synopsis actually go beat to beat? Because
kind of. It's a little. It goes a little less in the second half because I stopped taking notes.
You know what? Keep going. Anyway, the way this is going to get structured anyway is there is this version that is going to be mostly unedited except for ums and ahs and pauses and noise. Yeah. Then there's going to be a video version where I get our best bits together and put it over film footage.
Sounds cool.
Heavily edited.
So yeah, time skip. Clark saving an on-fire oil rig, and we get a fucking PTSD flashback to Clark. And we got a bunch of shit of just him being a fucking vagabond. He sees something in the distance that reminds him of something in his childhood, and we get another flashback, which was irritating, but I'll go
This man is more flashback heavy than Cloud Strife.
And then we get fucking BS with the dad saying don't save people because people might find out you have powers. And as Clark is doing his vagabond shit and having flashbacks, he gets work looking at a fucking Kryptonian ship, and he runs into Lois there too, where she's doing some journalism work as well. And fucking he goes after dark onto the ship because he's just hey, this might be the alien spaceship that I might have came from, or some shit like that.
Right.
This might be my people.
Mm.
And he activates the ship with his fucking, again, Disney Herculean baby right amulet shit that he's carrying around.
He's got his keychain from the Disney shop.
And, Lois, before he can, do anything, Lois gets herself into, a damsel in distress shit so he can save her. And Clark took the ship and ran while Lois tries to convince people that she stole shit, and no one believes her, so she's I'll figure it out on my own. Fucking Clark talks to AI Biodad. Biodad says he's Jesus or something. I fucking hate the Jesus shit. And then, he's done with this shit, he finds out his fucking past, and he gets, the suit. And Lois is still going around trying to figure out who the fuck he is, and she gets too close to home, and he hunts her down. And Lois is tell us your story, and Clark's no, because my dad told me not to, 15 years ago, and then flashback to dad doing suicide by tornado. And Lois is just like, oh, okay, I'll tell people that I don't know who the fuck you are. And Zod somehow fucking escaped, even though, like, they were comparing it to a fucking, like, black hole, and I'm very confused with, like, how the fuck he escaped a black hole. Mm-hmm. But, you know what. And he wants Clark so they can... and if they don't give him Clark, they'll blow up the Earth. Some shit like that. Clark turns himself into the government. Oh, wait, I forgot. PTSD flashback scene to, like, the fight back stuff, which I hated. This threw me off because we've been going a while without like a flashback, and then all of a sudden
they creep up on you, man, like a slasher villain.
He turns himself into the government. They turn him and Lois to Zod. They find out secrets and plans that they're planning on doing. Evil scientist takes Clark's blood to make more powerful people, and the two were able to escape. Zod tries to find the Codex with Mama Kent, but that upsets Clark, and Zod just kind of fucking attacks everyone, and the US government attacks back. I put here, it's not like the Toby Keith song. There's a certain song
I'm gonna have to look that up now.
There's a song called Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue, and I forgot exactly the words, but it's something like, you punch us, like, we're gonna turn around and kill you all, basically. It's a fucking 9/11 song. Post 9/11 song, so it's so fucking stupid.
Okay.
And Zod starts turning on his terraforming devices. Clark destroys one of them. Then we got, like, fucking US government, fucking kamikaze pilot bombs themselves into Zod's ship in order to, like, destroy both of them and get rid of the rest of the people on the ship, but Zod somehow escaped. I wasn't really paying attention at this point.
Right.
And then we have fucking Zod versus Clark, one-on-one fight, and Zod's neck gets cracked in half. We got another PTSD war flashback after Superman's like, yay, I'm fucking Superman, this is who I am, US military. And yeah, that's it on my fucking stupid summary.
So next week I'm gonna do Maggie's sloppy synopsis because you just did the play-by-play. But this is our first episode, so sloppiness is key. So now we're gonna move into play-by-play where we...
You know my synopsis are always shit.
That's the... anyway, it's probably fine. You're not supposed to play into the gag this much.
Well, I was just giving an...
Am I using the word synopsis wrong? You're making me second guess myself.
No, I probably should have done something more like that.
Because that's what a synopsis is. We're looking... I'm going to put up a picture of just this in the video. Like, a synopsis is, like, maybe 3 lines long, and it's many vagaries, and it mentions, like, maybe a name of a character and roughly the plot.
Oh, well. Suffer.
Oh, I will.
I can try again.
So...
You can call that.
Yeah. No, it's okay. So, now we're moving into play-by-play. I'm sorry if this is confusing for a viewer. Where we're going to do that again from the top, but we're just going to go by our bullets now. And we're also going to kind of fuse in secret... Do you even have any secret stars? Like, anything you liked about this movie?
There was a couple of little things.
Okay. So, as we go through play-by-play for this week, we're also going to have secret stars, which is stuff we liked. So, starting at Krypton, the first thing I wrote was, Krypton really is just whatever you want, huh, Zack? Because our opening shot is woman giving birth, followed by space yaks in the space fields. And then this planet, fucking Krypton, makes no sense. Granted, it made no sense before in, like, the old movies, when it's, like, a society made of fucking crystals and everyone's wearing suits that are aligned with the shit that they used in the original Star Wars to make the lightsabers look the way they do. But this is nonsense, because we've got weird bulbous spaceships that are all black, dragonfly lizards, space yaks, I already mentioned that, councils who have headdresses that look like Six Flags rides, bead floater devices, like the things you used to stick your hand in that do whatever they want.
Me off so much. I didn't know what the fuck you were doing.
I also should have started out by saying, Maggie, you do not like this movie, and that is fair. It is not a good movie. I like this movie for one simple reason. Zack Snyder is a fucking crazy person, and this is fan fiction. And you can't be that harsh on fan fiction. Oh my god, this AO3 doesn't have accurate science. Yeah, okay. Oh my god, why is Superman a fucking murderer? And why is there a shot where he's literally standing over a lake of skeletons in a black suit as the sun crests the horizon like I'm watching Evangelion? It's Zack Snyder's fan fiction. I'm on his AO3 account. That's the reason I think I can forgive a lot of this. It's because I can shrug at it and go, yeah, I can always leave when I want to.
See, like, I think, because we were talking earlier about the fact, like, opinions change, or you were saying that earlier.
A little bit, yeah. We'll get into it.
For me, I had the same thing of, like, I think I dislike this movie more now. Mm-hmm. Just because before, I saw it, like, around the same, last time I saw it was around the same time you did, which was, like, right before Batman v Superman. And I was just like, this is a fucking boring-ass movie. Like, that is my only opinion of this. This is boring, and I don't want to watch this.
It is boring, but
like, now I'm just like, oh, there was so much fucking potential with, like, morals. They had, like, a couple moral, like, things going on that could have been really interesting, but, like, they didn't flesh them out, or they just did such a shit job with it that they, like, boiled it down to, like, kindergarten levels. Ugh!
You're watching a Zack Snyder film. That's something I wanted to talk to you about, because especially near the end, you were very much like, why'd they waste the morals? I'm like, are you serious?
They could have done so much better. Why are you talking about morals if you're just gonna fucking do so bad with it?
The thing is, David S. Goyer and Zack Snyder don't care about morals, actually. They just like the flashy imagery and the fancy words that you can associate with your morals. They're not actually asking you to ask questions or question your beliefs or thoughts. They just want you to think they're smart and that their movie is heady.
Anyways, back to the play-by-play.
Yeah, we're still on Krypton. But I think it's appropriate that we're doing a fucking tangent because we spent a lot of time on Krypton. An appropriate amount, but a lot.
There was a lot of it, like, inside, like, buildings and shit where it's just like, this is just a concrete building, where I wasn't really caring so much, like, it could be, like, anything you fucking want. Mm-hmm.
Alright, I'm only on my second bullet point. We're not that far into this recording, though, so it's probably fine. Yeah. My first bullet point is just Michael Shannon, who plays General Zod. I fucking love him in this. He's so hammy and goofballs, and he's great. His haircut is shitty.
Yeah, his haircut, I was focusing on that in several moments, like, oh my god, your haircut's so fucking bad,
He's acting with his eyes so much, and he's screaming like a fucking rabid animal. I love him. You know, this is a great General Zod.
Part of me was just like, this isn't how humans talk. And I'm like, wait. I can just fucking ignore this.
He's literally a horrible, scary gene therapy soldier that was raised from birth to be a warrior. He's a fucking maniac, and I love him. Yeah, Zod's cool. He's a weird racist because our villain has to not be likable. So he's a weird racist that believes in... I couldn't remember the word at the time I was writing the bullet point, but, like... What's the thing where it's like, oh, we should raise people a certain way? It's something nomics or something ethics.
Oh, you're thinking kind of like... What's it called?
Reaganomics.
No, like I put down notes of like bloodline shit and evolution crap.
You're saying all that shit. I'm like, oh, I know that vocab word.
And I was just like, see, like it bothers me because there is actually like so much interesting shit you can do with like genetically modified, especially in this nature. You don't even have to go too much into like that like science side of it. You can talk about like genetic predisposition and all that in a very interesting way and try to put more of the idea that certain people are supposed to be acting a certain way based on like what they were born as, like the nature versus nurture debate.
If you couldn't guess, I care more about writing. Maggie is a science major.
I'm a science and I'm thinking about doing a PhD in humanities. So
and
yeah, like
English
that
major.
is...
I like to write stories and dialogue and characters. So.
Well, I like to analyze.
But together, we might make a decent film. Who knows? We can definitely analyze a bad one. Next note is actually a positive also. Fucking Hans Zimmerman is really doing it, huh? He is holding up this movie the same way the composer for My Hero Academia holds up a lot of that show. He's just killing it all day.
There's like certain parts later in the movie, especially where I was able to notice like, oh, the sound engineer really fucking...
Oh, just the music I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, the music is really good.
Because later on, his music's getting muddled by all of the sound effects of rock breaking and glass shattering.
Not like the sound effects, but like they just fucking cut it. Like it's starting a scene or something like that. Like there's just a shitty sound engineering.
Are you talking about the scene where they're in the intervention room? But that was a sound effect. It was like a deliberate cutoff. It was weird.
Yeah, it was like sound effect plus like sound editing, whatever the fuck. It was just so fucking bad.
Yeah. I guess moving forward, a bunch of shit happens. Maggie already talked about it. We get to see Clark get born, and then Daddy Superman gets to talk to the Council of Six Flag Helmets. Zod crashes the meeting because he's a piss baby. And then we get back to Clark getting put in the pod. And I wrote, we still haven't found a way to give Mama Ella a fair shake, huh? Because, once again, Jor-El's wife is just Jor-El's wife. What even was her name? Laura, I think? Maybe. She never gets anything to do.
And, like, her entire logic in her scene is just like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do this. It's like, bitch, what the fuck? Are you trying to...
She's literally just a basic woman where, I love my son, I don't want him to go. Even though it's shallow and nothing, I wish she had, like, picked up a gun and killed one of Zod's people. I wish she had done something. Or,
like, at least run when she saw her husband got stabbed.
Or, like, why didn't she get to do any...
Why are you, like, fucking speed walking towards
Can you imagine how, like, hokey and fun it would be if they both started doing Kung Fu on Zod's guys, instead of just Dad doing Kung Fu on Zod's guys?
Also, like, can you say, like, she was, like, trying to, like, launch the spaceship, but they only cared about dealing with, like, Dad? I forgot his fucking name.
Jor-El, yeah. It's Daddy Superman, yeah.
Shot her and stopped the launch! But no! She was that insignificant that they didn't even care.
Yeah. A little before that happens, or I guess after, because I wrote that scene when she was crying over having to give her baby away. I wrote, Jor-El really just waggled his dick in Zod's face, like, haha, I got some pussy, you didn't. Just that scene where he's like, we had a natural birth, and he's like holding his chin high, like he's proud of his shit.
Can I also just say, like, they mentioned the fact, like, oh, we did this, like, natural birth thing. How the fuck did no one notice she was pregnant? Like, did she, like, not leave the house for, like, however long?
Honestly, did you see what that planet's like? What do you leave in the house? They probably have Uber Eats out the ass, because they live on a mountain in, like, a fucking, observatory.
I'm just, like, saying, like, no one, like, she's not friends with anyone or anything like that. Where,
yeah,
like, people
what was her fucking job? We know, Jor-El was, like, a scientist, and he built some of the technology and spaceships we see later. Zod was the head of the military. She's just a woman. She's lady.
Just a woman.
She's lady.
She is just
she's literally just a womb, and that's fucked up. But hey, it's a woman in a Zack Snyder film.
No better than like fucking the genetic engineering.
Yeah, she's literally one. I remember. Yeah, you were losing your mind at the baby pods.
Oh yeah, they're so... because like we started off like by seeing a natural birth, and then all of a sudden there's baby pods, and I'm like, where the fuck did these come from?
There were a lot of questions you had that were later answered by the movie.
Yeah,
you said to be patient, but you were bored, understandably.
I have later shit with that.
I have a subnote here under Jor-El waggling his cock. Faye, buddy, guard the platform probably means don't let anything leave. Zod has that fist fight with Jor-El. And then he walks out after the pod's been launched, and Faye's kind of just looking at it like, oh shit, what's that? After Zod was like, maybe lock this place down, don't let anything happen.
Also, I'm just wondering...
Clark could have been dead a while ago.
I'm just saying also, when Jor-El got stabbed...
Yeah, he just got stabbed.
Like, he didn't do anything to stop Zod from, like, standing up and stabbing him with, like, the fucking Assassin's Creed knife.
Yeah, you could argue that... Very, like, Shakespeareanly, he's like, oh, I did my job. Look, my son is away. I did it. I can die now. It's better this than the volcanoes exploding upwards.
Oh, God, I have this note later on, but, like, that... I need to go back to that coup attempt that happened. Okay. Because, like, oh boy, was that so ineffective of a coup.
Yeah, because he had, like...
one or two people.
It's unclear how big Zod's force is, but even when in the scene where they're getting tried and put in, like, the weird dick pods, there's only, like... 10 of them?
Yeah, it was like so few. Like, granted, that might be like the higher ups, but like
it's an inconsistent number. That's it for my notes on the Krypton stuff. At least, do you have anything else to add?
Oh god, this was started here because it was literally in the first 5 minutes, like during the coup.
Yeah.
But the lens flares. Okay, I can stand lens flares happening.
Right.
I can stand a couple of complete whiteouts. But combined lens flares, complete whiteouts, and like the epileptic fits they were trying to get me into at the fucking very beginning during the coup, I was going to have an aneurysm, and it was only the first like 5-10 minutes of the fucking film.
I should have kept a counter. I don't know if you noticed, but there were a lot of times where I laughed uncontrollably. And the first time was when Jor-El leaves his house or wherever, and there's just that big whiteout, and like, whoa, it's happening! Krypton's dying! Oh my god! And I lost my shit because I'm like, oh boy, directed by Zack Snyder.
Oh god, and then like also like in the scene where he's talking to the council, for some reason we have a fucking steady, like, We have a camera in one goddamn place, and it's shaking like there's an earthquake happening.
They saved a fortune on tripods. That's how they could afford to just make everything CGI. You know Zod's suit was CGI for most of the movie? There's some good CGI in this movie.
I mean, like, that wasn't so bad, because I thought it was, like, decent. Mm-hmm. But, like...
We'll get to bad CGI later.
Did they give good CGI and then shit CGI later?
I don't know. It's like a time thing. Like I know ILM works on these.
Right after the time skip when they start...
oh, you're talking about when he's on fire all the time?
Yeah, when he, like, saves the people from the fucking, oil rig on fire.
The oil rig is very on fire. It's the most on fire.
Like, he's just really shittily on fire. Like, literally, like, they
It's motion tracked badly. It looks like they last minute PNG'd some fire gifts onto him. And did a little bit of cleanup. Oh, but you mentioning the rig brings me into my first little story point, just so I didn't get lost in my notes, and it just says, and now begins Odd Jobs with Clark Kent. Which, I remember this section being longer. I was very happy when it was done, because I associate it with the flashbacks. Little did I know that the flashbacks are spread out throughout the rest of the movie. During the oil rig scene, I wrote, I know he's a mysterious loner scared by his childhood and by bad parenting, but Clark should speak a little. And this is a thing that continues and brings up my personal first major flaw of this movie. Fucking Superman's a scary, flaky monster. He's not charismatic. He's bipolar. And he has no, you keep saying it, but he has no morals. He has nothing to stand on. He's very inhuman for a guy who's supposed to be very human and happy.
Yeah, and it really annoys me because, like, we have, like, this whole thing of, like, his bio AI dad telling us, like, straight up, like, to our faces, like, we sent you here so you can learn to, like, live with the humans, so you can develop love for them and all that, so then you can fucking lead them into a better tomorrow. Like, beyond the fact of, like, the fucking... like, God complex that happened throughout the movie, and I swear I'm getting to the fucking God complex.
I will give you time, because it is worth talking about. I did not spot it as much as you did. Some of them I kind of passed off as like, maybe.
Like,
but there's some obvious ones.
Like, there are some that I pointed, like, I note down. Like, I didn't write down all of them, because they mostly just followed the same basic,
Mr. Goyer really got tired of trying to hide them in the second half.
Yeah. But, like, a lot of it had to do with, like, certain ways of speaking. Anyways, going back, where the fuck was I?
I don't know. I was just mentioning. I know, oh, yeah?
Him not being fucking humanish.
Yeah.
Like, they try to... It's, like, very odd with this movie that they tell you a lot of things, especially about Clark. Of, like, you're supposed to be human. You're supposed to fall in love with the people. Well, he doesn't give a shit about anyone other than Lois for some goddamn reason.
Yeah, they got, like, a weird...
And his mom.
...thing going on. I'm gonna argue he doesn't give a shit about his mom, but I'll get back to that in a second. There's a scene that made me go, what the fuck's wrong with this man? So, going back to the Superman is quiet all the time thing, Zack, baby honey, bubby boo, honey pie, I know you're trying to make a realistic origin story for Superman, but it's okay for him to be a little bit Superman already. I remember I kind of was okay with this one because I famously didn't like Superman. Getting to finally watch the older movies and read some more comics, I understand what they were going for more, in that he's supposed to just be this almost impossibly happy-go-lucky character. Like the way Captain America in the movies, the recent movies, he's not the one that needs to change. It's more the world changing around him and how he reacts to it. Superman is just he's always got a smile. He's always the hopeful little light in the darkest hour type shit. And I liked that in this movie he's not quite there yet. There's a star point I'll make later about this, but basically, I wish Superman was more Superman in this. Like, the scene where he steals clothes off the rack, I think that would have been a good moment to, since we, like you said, we skip ahead a lot after the ship crashes in Kansas, so we missed the scene of Clark's human parents finding him. It would have been cute if that scene after his oil rig, where he washes up on, like, the seaside town, he knocks on the door of their place, and he's, like, covered and he's wet. He clearly looks like a fucking monster that came out of the ocean, but he's like, hi, excuse me, could I borrow some clothes? Just, like, it's kind of cheeky, and it's kind of cute, and it's kind of silly, but it's like, that's Superman-y. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't just steal clothes off the line. Fucking
dad, how he raised them, and it's just so stupid.
We'll get to the dad. What did I say? Oh, I forget what I wrote this for, but I just wrote Zack is a good conceptual guy, but is bad at execution. Oh, yeah, because of the first flashback scene, where it starts out okay, where Clark's getting his X-ray vision for the first time, and he's losing his fucking mind because he can see through his t-shirt and shit, and it's actually kind of scary. But then people start talking, and the dialogue is terrible, and I wanted the scene to end. It's the kid's delivery of the line, "The world's too big, Mom," I think, did it for me. And I was like, well, fuck this scene. It's over. It's ruined.
See, like, do you mind if I just switch, like, this fast forward a bit to, like, the second flashback? Because I think that was the one, the bus scene.
Oh, yeah, where Ron Weasley calls him a dick splash, and then the bus splashes into the water.
So, what really irks me with that entire scene is, like, the dad, like, afterwards, when he's talking to his dad and, like, the people. One, that was one of our first major instances of, like, kind of the more, I guess, it's, like, Jesus sent you shit of, like, the parent telling afterwards the mom just, like...
Or are you talking about how they misinterpreted the use of the words,
yeah, like, you're blessed by God.
Whatever they said.
Like, literally, they said, you're blessed by God. That is a fucking good thing. And then they're like, God did this to me, I'm cursed. And I'm like, you literally did not understand a single word that came out of the mouth other than God in some relation to you.
Yeah.
And, like, the dad just being, like, giving the, like, reverse fucking Uncle Ben speech.
Yeah, of, like, literally, fuck them kids, kill them all, Peter. Which, I remember, as uneasy as it might make people, especially those people who can't, like, watch a very violent movie, or don't like movies that legitimately, like, even question an opposite of their opinions, I can see how that makes people uncomfortable. But it's much like we never finished The Last of Us.
Yeah.
But the end of The Last of Us has a very human moment where the whole point of that game is, oh, Ellie could cure the human race because she's immune to the virus. Let's get her to these people. And then Joel finds out that in order to get the stuff they need out of her body to maybe look for the cure, they'd have to just straight up kill her. They need to take parts of her she can't live without. And Joel's like, fuck that. I'm taking my daughter and I'm going, and they won't let her have her. So he kills all of them, which is fucked up. Joel has essentially doomed the human race, but fuck you, I want my daughter.
Yeah.
So in a similar way, Robin Hood number 2, because both of Clark's dads played Robin Hood in other movies. Robin Hood 2 just wants his son, and there is a very sweet moment where Clark is like, fuck all this shit, can I just be your son? And Kevin Costner gives a little moment of, like, good acting where he's like, you are my son, and he hugs him. And I'm like, aww. See, like, but the scene's not focused on that. It's too small a bit. It feels like he's just a weird monster man who's like, fuck them kids.
And it bothers me because, like, what really got me was the trying so hard for, like, the Jesus imagery, because they refused to really accept the writers, I mean.
Yeah, the one, Mr. David. Clark's
adopted parents as his actual parents. Like, yeah, he might call, like, the Kansas mom, but most of the time in his interactions with his dad, it was very evident from even what the dad was saying, you are not actually our kid.
Yeah. You can feel it. Like, the director and writer don't care about Clark Kent. They care about Superman.
And
so
in, like, a later flashback, when he says, I'm not actually your son, it's just like, yeah, you're not actually your son. Like, what the fuck is that shit? Like, it's so annoying because then you can't actually have, like, a good focus on, like, yeah, you're my kid, I want to protect you. He literally straight up says, like, maybe one day you'll, like, protect the world. And you gotta be prepared to go out and, like, face whatever consequences that comes out of it. And I feel like that would have been a good way to, like, continue focusing on it. But literally the only thing Clark got out of that conversation is don't fucking tell people.
Yeah. Be a hermit or whatever.
And it just was so annoying because, like, you can see in, like, moments like that, there was so much opportunity for, like, a decent moral backbone to this film where it would have, like, a leg to stand on. But they said, nah, we don't fucking understand what this means.
Let's get to that next action scene, huh?
Oh.
I already touched on it, but I just wrote, with two dads who were Robin Hood, I think Clark would be more fun. Then here's another major point. Maggie, would you hold on for a second, play a role with me for a second? I think you'll know it as soon as I start doing it. Jimmy, what color do you want this movie to be, Jimmy? Do you want it to be bluish, grayish, gross? Do you want the yellow on the S of Superman's logo to look like puke gray? Look at that. This movie looks fucking atrocious. Color-wise, I think some of the cinematography is okay, but either color shines through or it's all fucking gunmetal gray. I hate it. It was the reason I avoided this movie when it was coming out, because all the trailers show this horrible, disgusting mess of depressing blacks and whites.
But don't you know, we're trying to go for a more realistic feel with this movie.
If I walked outside and the grass looked the way it does in this movie, I'd fucking off myself because I'm living in the limbo zone. No. They talk about the Phantom Zone in this movie. I felt like I was living in the Phantom Zone. This movie has terrible color grading.
Oh, God.
That's all I have to say about that. It looks awful. Clark uses powers. Oh, yeah, so we're now skipping forward. We're done with Clark's odd jobs. It's time to meet Lois Lane, who is strong and independent, and I don't remember being so obnoxious and one note in this movie.
She has that fucking white man. I know what feminism is writing. And that's why I had to ask, like, to make sure this is a fucking white man who wrote this.
Oh yeah, David S. Goyer.
Because...
Let's get that picture up. I'll put it up.
Because it's just such a white man, I know how women are fucking movies, and it's so weird.
Keep going. I'm just gonna put like a little puppet cutout on a string.
Oh,
look at that guy! He knows what women are like.
Oh, Lord, fuck.
Anyway, let's stop. We're bashing movies, not people. Even though, you could make an argument. I wrote, I wanna like Lois, followed by small footnote, but the movie's against me.
Honestly.
Everything she says, everything she does is so fucking one note and boring. All she does is pretend to be woke through shitty writing, scream, and be in distress, which is also coupled with screaming. So I guess two things.
She has plot armor thicker than like anyone else in this movie.
And there are parts. I feel like she has the worst of the writing. Because multiple times she says the shittiest thing you could probably write. This movie feels like a fucking first draft. You remember that part where we meet Perry for the first time, her boss, and she literally says, "I'm a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter."
Oh my lord, that's when I wrote. This is like where she has the white woman writing or white man writing, because like you can tell by that line alone that there wasn't a woman in the fucking room looking.
Her whole character is that shitty too. Like there's the part after that scene where she orders a scotch, and to reestablish how cool Lois is, she fucking skulls it.
Here's
and there's
the straight
scotch for the lady. No rocks, because you're a hard ass motherfucker. Balls of steel, Lois Lane. I know you. You go to this bar because you're cool. You're one of the guys. I skipped
also,
it,
is
but
she the only woman in this movie other than like
there's
like that one girl who got trapped in the rubble?
Yeah, Jimmy Olsen kind of until we get to Batman v Superman. Feora's okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
We'll get to Feora. She's one of my stars. I skipped it. We skipped ahead a little, but I like Clark using his powers to make a little ice hole to get to the ship. It's cute. Clark talks to a ghost that is his daddy because he has his Disney park keychain.
I don't have anything until the expedition does.
Okay, the Perry White scene. I like Lawrence Fishburne as Perry. That's about it. I like Lawrence Fishburne. He's charismatic.
Yeah, no, he's pretty good.
I like that he has one earring.
I was a little annoyed when this is slightly later, with like certain things he was saying, but that was like more writing. Like you don't fucking know what the hell you're talking about, and you just wanted to de-escalate the thing for a hot minute. Yeah. But it was more writing shit rather than like.
Okay, and that more or less concludes Act 1, which, if I could give a quick summary of how I was feeling during Act 1, I liked the Krypton stuff, and then I slowly started to remember, oh yeah, this film's proper bad, I just like it a little. Like, Act 1 is really messy, it's got shitty writing, shitty characters, there's nothing interesting really happening, the flashbacks are poorly implemented, and even if you put this movie in chronological order, the flashbacks would be shitty because every flashback serves no purpose other than Clark is using his powers or Clark has to remember something for later.
I understand individually what the role of each flashback is serving in that point of the film and why they put it there, but it's just so badly done, and like there was so many happening in such quick succession at the beginning. I'm like, why the fuck did you even do this? Why did we do a time skip to immediately cut to a flashback? Like,
do you want to know why? Because Batman Begins did it, and Batman Begins made hella money. Flashbacks.
Batman Begins know what the fuck they're doing. So.
Flashbacks should not just be in your movie. They should enrich the experience, and they shouldn't feel like they only fit where you put them.
Who said this? I saw this in, I think, a video essay. It feels like this person saw this technique used in a better movie.
That's his whole movie.
And they didn't realize why this technique... I think it was Schaefer Ellis who talked about that.
Yeah. The good thing about Act 1 is by the end I had my beautiful little summary for the video essay I will never make, which just says, Superman is one of the stupidest, silliest, oldest comic book characters. So I'm willing to forgive a lot of things like bad science and just other nonsense, but this movie lacks heart while having hope. I think this movie captures the idea of hope very well in that, mostly through Hans Zimmer's score, there is, even though it's very artificial, the feeling of being at the end of your rope, but then somehow continuing to go. And that is good for Superman. However, Zack, Superman isn't just about being the light at the end of the tunnel, you weird, edgy 5th grader. He also has to have charisma and heart and color, and this movie has none of that. I'd argue it has negative that. Because, as we'll get to later, and as everyone's talked about before, Superman murks a lot of guys.
And, like, I have opinions on that, too, but, like...
Last thing about the scene where Clark talks to Daddy, you mentioned it, and I was like, oh, wait, hold on. Because as the exposition scene between Ghost Dad and Clark was happening, I went, can we skip this? Is it important? But then I remembered the rest of the movie, and I'm like, yeah, I guess it's important. Because if they don't have that scene, then you might question why Zod ended up on a colony, because they mentioned the colonies and some other horse shit. It's just a boring exposition scene.
Yeah, like, I dislike it, because it's, again, a lot of the exposition as well, like, you can tell it with the flashbacks, because that's also exposition as well.
Yeah.
If it's not a flashback, like, it feels like a fifth of this movie is just an exposition dump.
And it's boring. Everyone's talking and walking in gray rooms.
Half of the exposition dump in it is just, like, repeating information we already know, and then adding little bits that, like, oh, here's a little piece that's gonna be new and interesting to keep you on your toes. I'm like, no. You're barely answering any of the questions I had in, like, the beginning of the movie. And, like, you're raising even more questions. So, like, we really don't need this in this form right now.
Yeah. This movie's a fucking mess. But what if I told you guys that was just the opening pitch of the baseball game? Because now our movie starts. Because Zod's ship shows up over the moon, and oh my god, it's Zod's ship, and he's gonna talk to everyone in fucking every language you can think of. He's gonna talk to them in English. He's gonna talk to them in Farsi. He's gonna talk to them in, Latin. But before that happens, Robin Hood number 2 gets sucked up by a tornado.
Yeah.
It's a bad scene. I don't want to talk about it.
Wait. Right before all that shit. Because we had, like...
Oh, the scene where Clark flies for the first time is pretty cool. I like that scene.
We were going, like... I just want to mention, like, more Lois shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, Lois hunting down Clark.
Yeah.
And during the course of it, she was narrating it.
Oh, yeah. And Lois is clearly not a good narrator/writer.
Irritated me to no fucking end, because nowhere else in the fucking movie do we have narration. I'm like, okay, maybe it's just like her reading whatever thing she's writing.
Yeah, which they do before in the introduction to Perry's scene.
Which is, yeah, I get it, but like at the same time, if they cut the narration, you would have still got that fucking information.
And there's still
that information did not have. It's the same shit with the fucking exposition dumps. It's the same fucking shit. You don't need to yell it at me for me to understand what's going on the fucking screen. If you trust your visual storytelling, or maybe made your movie a little bit more interesting, I'm at least watching it and gathering that information. Trust your fucking audiences to be able to get, like, the barest amount of nuances in your scene.
Nah, Zack can't do that.
And, like, also... when she came back after talking to Clark and was just, like, talking to the Perry, there was, like, a little bit that annoyed me so much. It's like, you leaked the thing. We're gonna sue you now. And it's just like, I dropped the story. Like, okay, I guess that's fine. Like, bitch, the thing is already leaked. Like... yeah,
because she leaked it to Guy.
It's already leaked. It's already out there. The crime... like, you can't just, like, commit murder like... oh, I'm sorry, I just won't kill the other people I was planning on murdering. Like, no, that's not how that works, bro!
What's next?
Sorry, that was just, like, such a little thing.
That's fine, that's the point of this. This movie's not good.
So much!
Oh yeah, I wrote, sometimes I feel like I'm watching more Aliens. Like, we left Krypton, where everyone was kind of overdramatic and Shakespearean, but at least I was having fun. And then, it's the scene where Clark gets home, and his mom is crying over something. I forget what the fuck she says, but then we pan up to Clark, who, should probably have a reaction. He's hugging his mom, but he's just blank faced, like, nothing phases me. I haven't taken my ADHD medication. I didn't even hear what she was saying. Then Zod shows up. I wrote, Clark can't get drunk, so I guess he just enjoys swill because he's drinking a fucking Budweiser for no reason. I mean, they don't have water on the farm.
We gotta get that product placement.
Oh god, I don't even want to talk about the product placement. The one problem with doing this now is everyone's talked this movie to death, so I don't even want to talk about the neck snap or the tornado or the product placement.
We kind of already got it. We got, like, the suicide by tornado. We got fucking a shit ton of product placement.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, like, discuss it.
We understand that. We don't... Yeah. There's other shit in this movie. Also, like...
Yeah.
When General Zod
General Zod ASMR.
And this fucking came out and he's just like... He's fucking... shitty video quality. Perfect audio. Like, the best audio. Like,
Chris,
it's surround sound.
I wrote to General Zod ASMR. It's beautiful.
I got, like, shit video quality, perfect HD audio.
That means it was a legitimate choice. Our boy General Zod is a, like, amateur video editor, and he knows what he's doing. I wrote, again, this is an open letter to the director, Zack Snyder. Zack, I know your Superman is Jesus, and you might like that idea, but Superman is not Jesus.
Okay, so can I talk about Jesus?
I think that's a good time to talk about Jesus.
Okay.
Let me play that one song from that one game. You know the one. Rattle off some Jesus.
So, I had a Jesus counter, which was like every time they did like a Jesus visual imagery, or they kind of referenced the fact that he's basically fucking Jesus. So some of them was like the dad basically saying, you're going to Earth and you're going to lead them into a better tomorrow. You're going to lead them into salvation. And it's just like, okay, motherfucker. He's like, that's so stupid, but like, okay. We got that a couple of times. We got like literally picturing him with Jesus behind him in a fucking church. And then we got like shit where people are directly comparing him like he's a blessing from God. But the ones that really got me were the shit like his dad would do, like his adopted dad, of like his need to sacrifice himself if he wants to come out fully. He needs to sacrifice himself for the greater good almost. And that might seem so minor, but it was just like another repeat on like, we gotta keep up that Jesus imagery. We gotta keep that shit up. And like, what is it? Where's my fucking notes about this? It was like irritating. Because like later in the movie they talk about him being like the bridge between worlds.
Yeah, all this good shit.
And I don't know if I hated it because it was like another I am Jesus moment of like Jesus is the bridge between God and man and to lead them into the better tomorrow shit again. Or it also gave me a Dreamer Baby vibes of like, cause something I feel like they should do a lot more with Superman is like focus on the fact that he's an illegal alien.
Yeah.
If you're going to like bring a moral stance, I don't think Jesus is the best fucking way for Superman. But instead, maybe talk about like Dreamer Babies instead. If you're going to take a moral stance, because that's something you can do where Clark is still himself and the world itself is changing around him rather than him having to have some moral conundrum. But that also kind of got me on like the Dreamer mixed baby is a bridge between the alien or the other and the us. And so yeah, that was fucking... But yeah, the Jesus imagery throughout this fucking movie.
You could literally make a fucking Simpsons overtime, just the Jesus counter.
I have this Jesus counter.
What was our final count on the Jesus counter, Maggie? 10.
But yeah, it was not great with I think, again, I want to pull out the Catholic, I am born and raised Catholic card. It was just so annoying, like, seeing a fucking movie where they have literally no idea, like, what the fuck Jesus is about, and then pulling out the Jesus card, and then have Clark do this type of shit throughout the movie where I am valuing myself over everyone else. Mm-hmm. Like, you pick one or the other. You either value yourself or you have the Jesus imagery. You can't do both. There's so much talk of sacrifice and all this shit throughout the movie, and it's just so annoying. Because, like, they're trying to put him on this fucking pedestal that is incomparable to man. And I guess that's kind of the point, but it's irritating.
Yeah. Zod gives an ASMR speech. Superman just turns himself in after he goes to see his friendly pastor, Eugene, or whatever his name was. And then we get a scene that I also didn't like, where it's one of the scenes, and this happens a lot in this movie, where it's almost the Superman movie, where him and Lois are talking in the intervention booth, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing with handcuffs on, dude? You don't need those. And he's like, well, you know, if it makes them feel safe, that's cool. And I'm like, oh, that's cute. That's a Superman thing. He's being kind of cheeky. That whole scene's nice. Then the scene keeps going. And immediately, like, as soon as that, the black guy, General McGeneral, walks in, he's like, fucking, I don't like you, Superman. Superman's like, yeah, okay, and he snaps the cuffs. Like, what the fuck is the point of establishing, I put these on for a reason, makes everyone feel safe. Then he breaks them, and the worst part is, it's not like, I don't know if David S. Goyer is bipolar or Superman's supposed to be, because that little cuteness continues into the part where he's like, oh, I see you've got some mints in your pocket, doctor. I wish he had, like, asked for one.
See, like, the mints in your pocket, like, stuff like that, like, I thought that was, like, mildly annoying because it felt like another heavy-handed exposition of, like, hey, remember he has this sort of powers? Like, let's establish he has those powers to other people.
I'd argue it was heavy-handed if, like, there was a sound effect and shit, but it's literally just Henry Cavill acting. He's like, oh, no. Like,
but actually, I do really like him just doing the stand-up and breaking the cups.
It's cool. Again,
Zack Snyder's... it was, like, really nice of a shot, and it was just like, oh!
And it's such really, a subtle sound.
And compared to just, like, him doing any sort of fighting or using his powers most of the movie, like, him, I think this is more of a CGI thing as well, because he just doesn't have weight. Like, the fights, they don't have, like, you don't really feel any of the punches, because they're just fucking, like, two overpowered super dudes who aren't bleeding, but, like, punching each other in the face and, like, getting knocked through buildings. So, like, you don't really have any indicator of, like, oh, this bro is really strong. And, like, that's little bit of him standing up and breaking the cuffs with, like, no emphasis, like, no effort whatsoever. Really cemented to me, like, oh, you guys are fucked if you decided to. I
like the chain break too, but I don't like the chain break that conflicts with, here, I'm just gonna wear these handcuffs because I want to be nice to my captors.
It's again, like...
It's one or the other.
They really gotta, like, this movie just needed someone to cement down, like, what are we trying to do? What is our feeling throughout this movie? And is that feeling a good one?
If anything, end the scene with him snapping the cuffs. Like, they have a little talk. The general's like, yeah, okay, you can help us. They walk in to take the cuffs off of him. Like, send in some, like, scrawny-looking military private. Like, oh, I've got the keys, sir. And Clark's like, it's okay. Let's go. We gotta move on. Alright, then they hand off Clark to the aliens, and we get to meet, I'm just gonna call it my lovable lackey. If you've seen, like, Iron Man 3, you remember that bald guy that kept showing up? That's a lovable lackey. Just a bad guy in the background who keeps showing up. And Feora is my lovable lackey for this movie. I like her. She is great. She has a lot of shitty lines, but she does some cool action stuff. Alright, so then they do a handoff. Clark gets to go with Feora, but Feora's also like, we want to take Lois Lane because we're big fans of the Daily Planet, or some bullshit. I don't know. We have to keep her in the movie.
She had to fucking go. Like, I guess, like, they're like,
they didn't say why, did they?
Yeah, they never explained.
General Zod wants this woman to accompany us. Is it because she... You could have even said it's like she was the smartest among you to find Kal-El. One line is all you need. They fly to the ship. Lois Lane needs a breathing apparatus. I hate that Feora just lets her... Like, I hate that Lois doesn't lift up her ponytail or anything. It goes around the ponytail and cuts it off. It's a little thing, but I'm just like, you don't want to... They're on the ship. Clark falls ill because Kryptonian atmosphere, and he's coughing up a lot of blood. Oh, hey, guys, you remember the Codex? I know we haven't talked about it for a while, and it's completely not existent.
You forgot by now, but...
I did forget, because it's not a thing in Superman comics. It's a stupid movie thing. It's literally the MacGuffin. Because I guess David S. Goyer isn't smart enough to think of another reason that Zod just wants to go terraform Earth. He's already crazy. Just make him crazier and be like, this place seems cool. It's mine now. I want it.
Yeah,
you don't need a Codex.
He could have just said, instead of, like, being like, that's a Codex, he could have been like, yeah, this is, you find this place home?
Yeah.
Bye.
And they literally, he could even be like, oh, it's cool, my warriors would be twice as strong here because of the sun. And they established that the scout ship has a smaller version of the birthing pool that we see Daddy swim through. You don't need the codex, is what I'm saying. Like, you have another baby pool happening. It's consistently making babies in the background. Like, for some reason, it's still operational.
I feel like that's a plot hole rather than, like...
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know. It's a scout ship. Why does the scout ship have... Is it a scout ship? Or is it like a nomad ship that's not meant to come back? Because why does it have space dedicated to a baby pool?
I just remembered why that's important, too. In, like, Batman v Superman. Like, it, like, hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah,
like,
because Doomsday shows up. We'll get to Batman v Superman. I'm not mad right now. I'm just disappointed. I'm gonna be fucking mad in Batman v Superman.
But, like, also, we got, like, that fucking dream sequence, which just cemented to me that this movie lacks any sort of subtlety and any lack of just any depth beyond, like, that fucking, like, preteen boy, you know, who thinks he's cool because he listens to Fall Out Boy.
A lot of things this is where the movie changed, and I broke. Because not only so there's a scene where Zod, I guess, is trying to convince Kal-El to give him the codex in the worst way possible by kind of threatening him, and then straight up threatening him by destroying the little holodeck they're in, having Superman dressed in a black version of his suit, standing over a pile of skulls with the sun. I've already described it before. It's just a horrible image. I'm putting it up because it's going to be the thumbnail. It's the perfect description of a Zack Snyder directed movie. And this is where I wrote it with a fucking star. That whole Zod and Kal-El scene in the holodeck is why I can't hate this. It's fanfic. That shit's so stupid, I stopped the movie and made fucking breakfast sandwiches. I had to pause because I was going to lose my mind. We're about halfway through now, if you can believe it.
I have like 5 notes after this.
That's
and
okay.
like I've already been through a couple of them.
Yeah.
Because there were more general shit that I could have talked about.
Oh, a scene that I originally liked, but after watching it again, it's worthless. Ghost Dad and Lois Lane team up for a little.
Yeah,
and it's like, cool in concept, but in execution,
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest.
There's a cool shot where she heads down a hallway and he's there to direct her, and then the camera doesn't cut and they turn and he's already at the other end of the hallway. That was neat. But fuck that whole thing. In a lighter movie, maybe they could make a joke. Maybe Lois would be like, oh hey, I met your dad, he's a pretty cool guy. Something, anything, to make me feel.
Also, I love how he lets her shoot 2 people, and then when Zod came around, he's like, no, let's close the door before you can do anything. We gotta keep him alive for a little bit longer. I think I blinked,
because I don't remember that happening even.
You gotta keep him alive for a little longer, you know?
Yeah, this is the one, the fucking you can... Alright, so this isn't... I'm not touching on this because of Jesus, I'm touching on this because, again, much like the shot in this movie that is Zack Snyder doesn't know what the fuck Superman is, because there's literally a line that Space Dad tells him where he says, you can save all of them, which is a direct opposite of the thing from the comics and the better origin movie, Superman, where part of the thing that humanizes Clark and helps him be a happy-go-lucky guy in the face of adversity is his dad dies of a heart attack. And that kind of teaches him, I can't save everybody, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't try. What the fuck is wrong with you, Zack Snyder? And the worst part is, this will come up later in elevator pitch, but I'm going to touch on it now because I'm mad. Even if you don't want to do the heart attack...
Even if you did the tornado shit, which is so stupid that he could have saved
The thing is, you want to hear...
But like...
You want to hear how I think the tornado shit could have worked? Clark disobeys his dad. And then as a result of everyone seeing Clark save his dad from a fucking tornado, Clark has to run away!
That's why he did the vagabond shit!
He should... and then while he's away, maybe then Dad's...
Died
of a heart attack. You fucking you make Michael Bay look decent. Okay.
This is giving me more trust in you because I was having a fucking aneurysm.
Yeah, you're very mad at me because I like this movie.
While you were saying, like, I really like this movie, and I'm like, it's so fucking bad!
It's straight up garbage, but guess what? I still like it. Well, alright, so then we get to... God, there's like no action scenes in this movie. Major ones, at least. The first major action scene of 2. Welcome to Smallville, population explosions. Where Superman just loves the city. Zod has a little interview with Clark's Earth mommy. It doesn't go well. He's mad.
I also have to say, I hate the trope of, like, let's put the character in a mildly dangerous situation, and wherever they look is where it's the location of the thing we want.
Yeah, especially when it's a whole head turn.
It's so fucking stupid. 1, why the fuck do you think that actually works? And 2, why the fuck are you looking? It's not even, like, in the situation of, like, hey, at least in most of them, it's your kids or something like that, where you're like, you're about to die, let me look for my kids one last time. And then they find the kids, or some shit like that. But no, it's a fucking, like, a baby carriage or something.
There's also
Why the fuck are you carrying too much?
There's also the fact that Mama Ken doesn't know what the fuck the Codex is.
Mm-hmm.
There's no... whatever. Moving on. Explosions happen. I wrote, I like the Smallville fights. It's big and loud, but also really simple in its beats. Like, I kind of understood what was happening, and at this point I was kind of at the edge of my seat because I was like, I'm extracting some enjoyment. I'm being critical, but I do like this fight scene. It feels like some of the shit in the later seasons of, like, Justice League Unlimited, where it makes sense. Where we're not... Oh, like, in a better world, this would have been the finale. Like, this is a smaller scale movie because it's an origin story, and then we get to decimate a whole town. You know, like a better movie like Thor did. Because these are very powerful, godlike characters, and we want to show off the destruction, but we don't have the money or the stupidity to literally level New York.
And it's just like... See, I think in the first time I watched this movie, that fight, I actually did kind of enjoy. Mm-hmm. But I knew... Like, granted, I don't remember, like, the entirety of, like, the second half of this movie, like, from the first time I watched this, other than, like, the Smallville fight. So, like, it went on too long with, like, the terraforming device, and then, like, the extra, like, air fight, and then the Zod versus Clark fight, and I'm just like, this is...
I'm talking about the... You said Smallville. You're talking about the Metropolis fight.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, like, the Smallville was, like, okay.
Oh, okay.
But then, like, it just goes on too long when it goes, like, into all those other fights that they kind of just all blur together, and I'm like, okay, it's all done.
Yeah.
Well, like, this time I knew it was going to go on for another fucking 45 minutes.
The last fight literally has, like, 4 phases to it, which is fucked.
Like, again, like, when we hit that halfway mark, I thought we were at the fucking climax of the movie.
No, man.
I thought we had, like, maybe, like, 20 minutes left or something like that, but no, we decided, like, hey, let's add an extra fucking hour.
Yeah. I like the Smallville fight. If you haven't seen it, just look it up on YouTube. You don't have to waste 2 hours and 24 minutes.
Oh, God.
Alright, next, story beat. Okay, so I wrote earlier that it feels like we're in Act 2, but I'm not sure. But after that fight, you feel like a gear shift when we do that scene where Zod's on the ship and he's like, oh, he bested me because I don't know how to use the sun. And I wrote, okay, so now we're in Act 3. You can feel the fucking gear shift. Mm-hmm. They saved the fortune by using tripods. I mentioned that already. The shaky cam. It hits me a lot in the scenes where like they're just in the military room with computers, and I'm like, yeah, you don't need these here. I understand why you're doing it. You're doing it too much.
Yeah, it's just that the entire time I'm just like, why? Mm-hmm. Can you get a stabilizer, please?
Yeah. This is one of my last stars. I just like in movies where they do the far off shot of a spaceship. There's a lot of them in District 9, and this movie has some of them. Just like. Here it's way in the background on the horizon and it's out of focus. So when the world engines start up, again I lost my fucking mind and started cackling because I wrote, how do we let everyone know that the smoke coming out of the machine is evil? Give it lightning! And the lightning makes like an evil sound effect.
And there's like fucking fire coming out of the top.
Fire and like evil and shit coming out of it.
But like with that, there was something sciencey that like pissed me the fuck off. Like granted, like the entirety of like this movie had like shit science.
It's broken comic book
all throughout. From the birth even, because the birth, like, the baby was coming out the wrong fucking direction.
I decided I had to tune you out from the start because you were already screaming at the movie.
But they were like, oh, they're increasing the mass of Earth!
Yeah, some bullshit.
How is a gravitational thing increasing the mass, which is the amount of particles?
Because the terraforming is working in unison and doing the dubstep sound and... whatever.
You can't create mass.
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of the fucking basic things of just the universe.
Yeah. Hey, you know what's really cool in movies? Like a moment of like complete silence for whatever reason. This movie is not quiet for a moment. There's not a single moment of impactful silence. It hit me the most during a scene where nothing was happening and it could have had no soundtrack in the background, but the soundtrack is in the background there, just dum 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 dum. Oh yeah, it was during the scene where Zod wants to go to the scout ship because I forget what he wants on the scout ship. but he ends up having the talk with Ghostbed. And I was like, I know we haven't established it at all. I know you halfway hackneyed the fact that they were friends, but I don't know. I think you should play up that scene more to give like a twinge, because later on there's a twinge of like, Zod's human somewhere under there. There should have been a twinge of like his like scientist guy being like, my lord, where are you going? We're about to have total victory. You should be here to see it. What could be more important than this? I have to go pay my respects to an old friend. Just a moment. Like, have a human beat in this movie starring people that we should care about one way or the other. But no, we gotta focus on the action. Yeah, we gotta... Oh yeah, so we skipped a lot. The finale sucks. It's so bad. The next story point I have here is, after you flatten the city, you have to knead it. Because we just watched 30 minutes of the city getting destroyed, and now Clark and Zod are gonna make sure that shit's not standing for realsies. I also love how they tried to make us, like, feel bad when the city was, like, first getting destroyed, like, in the first wave of destruction. By, like, focusing on, like, the 3 people from the fucking Daily Planet. It's like, oh, they could die! And I'm like, I really could care less. Like, I care about Perry, but, like, the other people, like, who the fuck are you? I don't remember any of your names. Yeah, also, I like... Again, I spoke about it earlier, but Lois's plot armor. She's busted. She is so fucking busted. I put here, Lois's plot armor is thick with 3 C's. I don't have anything substantial to say about that scene where they're on the AC-130. I just like that scene. It's okay. Like, as soon as I saw the dude like going for kamikaze pilot, I'm like, oh, that's why she was fucking hanging off the back. So I want to give like plausible deniability of why she's gonna live through this. Remember when we both lost our minds in sync? When Fiora comes through the bottom of the AC-130 and smushes, then slaps Sergeant Wilhelm out of the back of the AC-130. And it's so horribly layered over the top. I wasn't prepared for a Wilhelm scream. It's not as bad as other movies I've seen. Like, I recently watched all the Transformers again. There's lots of shitty ADR. There's really bad ADR in this movie. The part where Superman is fighting the Otherworld engine, there's some really bad coughing effects added over the top. And then the Wilhelm scream is mixed really badly. Especially when there's already fucking music and the fucking pod that they're gonna drop on the big ship is making lightning noises and all this shit's happening. We're talking about the Zod and Superman fight. My last 2 stars, like good points, are I like that scene where Zod gets his zappy eyes. Like the sound design is good there, and the visual of him just like fucking. I like the way the laser eyes work in this movie. Like it feels like weird fluid laser. And then there's the cute scene that I loved from the first time I saw this movie, where when they're in the construction site and Zod hits Superman with like a piece of metal. Yeah, he flies into the Days Without an Accident sign, and he hits it, and then when he falls, it went from like 100 and whatever to 0, and I'm like, oh, that's cute. See, like, I would find that a lot more cuter if, like, they had even a tiny bit of comedy throughout this movie. There's no comedy in this. Like, the only comedy I, like, really noted was, like, the one time, like, this general made a joke, and it was like, how the fuck did you know that information? Yeah. There's some of it's fun. Oh, the other, like, kind of Superman-y scene that steps on itself because of Zack Snyder. You mentioned it, and I forgot to write it down. The cute scene where he's like, you might want to step back because he's going to do a lift-off. Even though prior, when they were giving each other the fuck me eyes in the cornfield, he lifts off right in front of her, no problem. Yeah. I don't know, it's stupid. Speaking of fuck me eyes, this is skipping to like kind of the end, so if you had something else to say about that fight, go. Yeah, I got a couple more things to say. There's a part where after Zod loses his super suit and we get into like round 5 of this slog, there's a part where the glass shattering effect... So many phases of this final boss. The glass shattering effect is so loud, I actually couldn't hear Hans Zimmer's music in the background. And I wrote, I can't hear Hans trying to enthrall me over all of this glass shatter.png. And then the last thing is, can't save the city without breaking a few necks. But we didn't talk about the romance between Clark and Lois because it's artificial and non-existent and unnecessary here. But I just need to say, like, there's like 2 lines that like fucking killed me. Oh yeah, the kiss line. The like, you know, it's all downhill after the first kiss. That's what they say. And the fucking response of, I'm pretty sure that only counts when it's to a human. I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? Which adds to my weird thing I mentioned earlier of what the fuck's wrong with Clark Kent? Is he a bipolar alien? He's so weird, man. Like, at the beginning of the movie, I'm like, okay, maybe I can get away with, like, the aliens talking like not actual people, but what the fuck is this? What's wrong with Clark? What is wrong with Clark and what is wrong with Lois? Like, some people can actually talk like a normal fucking person. It's like you took a brain and split it between 2 people. Oh, God. And then Superman kills Zod with the neck snap. Everyone's talked about it. Go watch people's videos about it. It's fucking stupid. It's unnecessary. I feel like there's a different world that's not better than the one we're currently in, where to add to the Jesus counter, Superman would have put his fucking hands over Zod's eyes and had the holes, but he would have saved the family. Ooh. I don't know which one I like more or like less.
Honestly, and like, granted, like, large part of this movie was trying to focus on like this whole moral of like, one of the morals throughout this movie, was just the some people deserve to die, or like you should grant people an honorable death. Yeah. Like just the thought of death as a concept, especially in relation to Zod, is interesting. It could have been fleshed out a hell of a lot more. But hey, they at least were consistent throughout with Zod's just like, you should have fucking killed me. You should have fucking killed me, you dumbass. I'm gonna kill you
so he's literally,
if you don't kill me.
He's the Muffin in the ASDFV movies. Mm-hmm. He just wants to die because he knows he's gonna do ill. You have consistently talked about morals and imagery in this throughout this conversation, and I would argue you're giving Zack too much credit. Because I think, much like the creator of Evangelion, he doesn't actually care about these morals and imagery, he just thinks they look cool. I'm not going to talk about morals and the Jesus imagery because Zack doesn't actually care. It's there because he thinks it looks neat.
I'm not arguing that fact. I know for damn certain how
that's why I'm not wasting my breath on it, I mean.
Like, I know for damn certain how they're implementing it is definitely, we thought it would look cool or we want to sound
It sounds and looks cool.
But, like, I think this goes into, like, the elevator pitch thing. It's just, like, they could have done so much more. There's so many things, especially with morals, that you could do with any superhero story. Yeah. Superman in particular brings a really interesting thing to the table in a similar nature to Captain America, where you can have a really interesting discussion, whether it's political or more just basic morality. But they instead just took little bits of what they consider cool and just did a shit job of explaining it like a fucking 13-year-old emo kid, as I was saying earlier. Mm-hmm. It's just so annoying when I see that, because it's just, we can have a situation where a movie is telling us something, and you so obviously want to have the appearance of saying something. So fucking say something then. And
that's play-by-play. Jesus H. Christ. Now we get into what is probably not going to be a consistent segment. It's just called elevator pitch, where if either of us have an idea, either to fix the movie on a whole, or at least in large chunks, we talk about it. I have, in my mind, bits of a better movie that is smaller in scale and a lot simpler, where your beginning is more or less unchanged, except for obviously better dialogue and maybe better characters, and then your second act is less, and then your second act it keeps going as it does, but then your second act is mostly Superman is being taken by the government of his own volition, and he's establishing relationships with Lois and the scientist and the general. Not necessarily like romantic shit. I don't think any of the Lois and Clark romance should actually start here. Superman should be making friends in this movie. Yeah. And then during that second act, you start fixing some of the shit that the third act does, where instead of having to fucking snap Zod's neck and fly a goddamn AC-130 into a spaceship, why not have a scene where Superman is like, I'm gonna trust this doctor with some of this information I have, and the doctor's like, you know what? I think I could find a way to get rid of those guys. I could retrofit this thing from the comics, you guys might have heard of it, the fucking Phantom Zone projector, a device that even Lego Batman was smart enough to use. So instead of blowing up a city and Superman killing a man, you just shoot him with the Phantom Zone projector gun and send him back to the Phantom Zone. That thing you already wanted to do, but Zack Snyder's a hack, so he had to make it a whole action scene. Then your third act is like, your end of second act, beginning of third act is Superman and Lois on the ship. They're friends now a little, so they have some rapport. That scene goes the same, except with better dialogue and stuff. Your finale is the Smallville fight, and like them getting sent back to the Phantom Zone. That way, Superman doesn't have to murder people. You don't have a very long, tiring ending that is the destruction of a city 5 times over. And Zod can be alive for future movies or something. You know, just in case a better writer and director want to do something with that character.
So, a little bit building on that, like just adding more of the moral shit, because that's kind of what I was focusing on watching this movie, is with that kind of idea of, like, him willingly working with the government and shit, of letting them try to figure out, like, kind of who he is and how much of a threat he is. Of, like, we can focus on kind of, like, the bridge between the worlds thing, but, like, better it, because, like, that can be iffy when it's done. It's very easily to do that improperly.
Yeah. All they do is say he's going to be the bridge. He never starts doing that. Not even not even in the rest of the movies.
But we can start having a conversation with this movie of, which would be really interesting. Like, I love more recent discussions with Superman and talks of immigration. Because Superman is a really great example of showing an other who looks like us, but is very much, again, an other. It's something completely different from what we know and what we understand ourselves to be. And if he starts willingly working with the US government and all that, we can easily show kind of a breakdown of the expectations of what an other should be, and then we have Clark breaking them completely by being like a super friendly, and he's fucking from Kansas. Where the fuck is any of his, like, hospitality and, like, kindness and all that shit? Like, he should really be, like, a very down-to-earth, like, country boy, and really break those stereotypes of what they'd expected from him. And that would have been, like, a really interesting thing to see. And again, trust your audience. Trust your fucking visual storytelling. Please don't narrate everything to us. Don't, like, dump everything on us all at once. Like, I understand it's an origin story, and that's kind of why I feel origin stories are a little... nowadays, especially for very popular characters. But that's kind of just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. Just make a smaller movie, focus in on your morals. Maybe don't try and tackle so much at once. Maybe don't try and tackle the Jesus shit at all. It's possible, don't do it. Not you, Zack. Not you, David.
This fucking Jesus shit, it's not even, like, great. Like, it's so...
It's not good at all. It's
surface level. Like, you could do so much better. Like, I understand, like, why you might think that might work, but it's very easily to go wrong, and you don't see it right away. But no, we want to set up... And, like, you can also do the setup for later movies without, like, just so fucking overt as, like, Batman v Superman opening. Remember how it starts with, like,
Are you talking about when he gets lifted out of the well by the bats? Or
no, where he's, like, driving around in Metropolis and all the shit, everything's going to shit.
Oh, yeah. I like that scene.
Like, it's interesting.
It's a better execution of, like, the oh no, we should care that Metropolis is getting destroyed than this movie has.
Yeah, than this movie has. But, like, I feel like you can still get the, shit. Like, there's property damage. Like, literally.
There's no property left to you motherfucker. We're gonna have to start from square one.
We can have...
You literally did what Zod wanted.
We can literally have more of a focus on, like, the consequences of these fights if we just kind of kept it to the Smallville fight. Because for Metropolis, it feels like the biggest concern was the property damage. Like, that is all I fucking got out of, like, why people cared was, oh, buildings are destroyed. With Smallville fight, you can focus a lot more, like, there's a lot less property and a lot more care on, like, if people are dying. So if we focus, maybe cut down kind of the beginning a little bit, and focus more on, like, Lois trying to find Clark while he's, like, going around or something. Like, if instead of doing what you were saying earlier, like, if this movie instead just like, hey, let's focus on Lois trying to find Clark a little bit, like, maybe put this movie from Lois's point of view, and just her following these, like, rumors throughout. Because I feel like we already understand, like, the background of Superman. We don't need to see the planet blowing up again. We don't need to see him in Kansas. We don't need to see him developing his powers. Maybe this movie should have been just, like, Lois following a Bigfoot-like story. Like, just a figment of seeming everyone's imagination. And she's meeting people, and we can have a much more well-developed Lois throughout the course of this movie, rather than again, just a fucking woman.
Yeah, she's lady.
She is just a romantic love interest. And then we can meet people in Smallville and get to know them and then watch them die.
Watch them die. Or if you want to keep your fucking middling PG-13, oh no, my small business. And then we care about their small business getting fucking flattened by Zod and the Funky Bunch.
Yeah, like, there's things that we could do. Like, you can either focus more on, like, Clark being human and him being how Superman's supposed to be, or we can focus more on, like, Lois and, like, the people around and trying to put actual weight to this world beyond Clark.
Mm-hmm.
So there's several things you can fucking do, but they decided to just be boring.
In conclusion, I kind of want to conclude because I can't take my eyes off of it. If you look at the HBO Max picture for Man of Steel, you will see Superman in a very muted suit next to an American flag, but also a 7-Eleven sign. And it really just tells you how little identity this movie has. Mm-hmm. Join us next week for Batman v Superman, a movie that I saw twice in theaters upon release.
You saw it twice?
Because I had two different groups of people. Because Mom and Corey wanted to see it, and then my family friend wanted to see it. And both times I had a very bad time. That was the movie where on the car ride home, Mom yelled at me like, "Did you like the movie or not?" And I said no, and she said, "Well, shut up then."
I just want a repeat of the debates you would have every class in
with what's his face, because what was even the debate?
He thought it was a good movie?
Yeah, and it's trash. He also, I don't know, didn't we also fight about Spider-Man?
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit because I've been on Twitter long enough to realize that everyone's wrong about Spider-Man. Including me. Fuck Man of Steel. Zack Snyder, you son of a bitch. I'm still excited to see you blow your load for 4 hours in March. I don't know. I'd still rewatch this, and I still like it more than some of the other DC shit. But that's more because there is some semblance of fun, and I can turn off my brain a little at this. But this is no higher than like a fucking Transformers film. It's such a bad Superman film. It's such a bad regular film. Ah.